Oh, hi guys, and welcome to episode 7 of the Welsh B Show. And joining me today, a very special guest. I call him the Governor. Ryan Reynolds calls him the Governor. He calls himself the Governor. He simply is the Governor. It's Tim Edwards from Fearless in Devotion. Tim, thank you for coming on.
You're very welcome, fucking Governor. I'm out of any of that jazz. I'm not in the mafia, or I'm a politician, so but no, very kind of you to say so.
No, you're top man. Busy week again for Wrexham. Let's just have a look at the result last night. 4-1 in the EFL Trophy. Port Vale. What were your I didn't watch the game. I kept an eye on it. I've seen the goals. What were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Slow start. But I don't know. It's just one of those things. It just kind of grew into the game, and when you make that many changes, you've kind of just got to. There's always that risk that it's going to be a little bit bitty to begin with. But look, if we're in a position where our half second string, if you like, or not your preferred 11, can go to Port Vale, and granted they played a lot of their second string as well. If we can go then whack in 4 goals. Probably in third gear, then that kind of says a bit about the depth of the squad, and it's nice to see, isn't it? It's people are starting to take it a little bit more seriously now, because essentially 2 games away from a 5th Wembley appearance in 12 years. I think I worked it out yesterday, which is almost an appearance every couple of years, isn't it? Which is mad. You think we'd never been there at all until 2013, and then a bit like buses, I guess.
But yeah, Bolton next week at home. I'm sure that's going to do very good business. I know the crowd last night was pretty low, to say the least, which is expected. Do you think that helped the players? Do you think there's less pressure on this competition and players coming in who are seizing an opportunity?
Yeah, probably because it works 2 ways, isn't it? It could be less pressure because you haven't got a sort of baying mob of home fans similar to like the Shrewsbury game, where there's a bit more extra pressure and spotlight on you. But at the same time, sometimes it can be difficult to get up for a game at a ground like Port Vale, which is quite big for the size of the area and the size of the club, and just to be met with amples of yellow and black seats. You think that's it, but then you got to look at the bigger pictures. Like, some of these players have played at Wembley, a lot of them haven't. And personally, I'm like, Wembley, and it's not. We don't have many great memories, do we? Apart from the ones, really. But you ask any footballer, and they'll probably say, "I'd love to play there. Love to play there." Especially English-born players. The very least would say it would be a dream to do it, and it would be good to get the owners back there again, because obviously the Bromley match didn't quite go to plan when they were all over, and during the first kind of year of the takeover, really. So I think this is kind of a marker of how far we've come in a very short space of time, and it's kind of very easy to lose sight of that at times. We are entitled, and that can be misconstrued. It can almost suggest that we're pampered and spoiled, and we're not. You have to remain humble, because you never know where it's going to go. You never know where it's going to completely go wrong. And we all said it. If we do go up to the Championship, there's going to be some spankings. There will be. Doesn't matter how many players we add to it and so on. There's going to be teams in there that will come down for the Premier League, and they'll be like, you Hollywood mad asses ain't coming here and doing us over. So yeah, I think it's a good platform for a lot of these players to showcase what they can do, where they haven't had that chance in the league games, basically.
Where I've always felt the cup games should be taken more seriously, and this was always an opportunity to do well in. I went to the Crew game at home in December. We played a weak team in the League Cup, didn't we? I think at Sheffield United. Didn't play the full strength, if I remember rightly. Didn't really give it a good go at Harrogate. And we're thinking, well, promotion is the priority. We want to get promoted for a 3rd time. But I've always felt Cup's an opportunity to keep winning, and it helps bring you along. And a good Cup run does have its benefits.
Yeah, I think it does. It gives those fringe players an idea to kind of show that I'm not just here to make up the numbers. we've all put a massive question mark over Mo Fowle's head, undoubtedly, unfairly or otherwise. And it was a very different game for him. The first half I wasn't so sure. In the second half, he was much better. As a sustained performance, he was really, really decent. So, it breeds confidence. It breeds levels, competitiveness levels. They're going to go. You can see how much it meant to the players last night when Harry Ashfield scored his first goal. Local lad, fan, goes and scores. Every one of the players. If you run it back, Harry scores, goes and celebrates. The players just let him have his moment. They don't just rush in and envelop him into a hug. They let him have 5 or 6 seconds to himself so he can enjoy it. Then they join in. I love that. That's proper consideration. And they've probably had that discussion. Like when he scores his goal, let him have the moment. Then we'll all congratulate him. You can see how happy they were for him. It was great.
Well, it's a dream come true now, and it's nice, like you said, a local lad. We need a few more, I think.
Yeah.
Are there more coming through?
I think so. Yeah. It's a strange one, really. It's not like how it used to be, where we were scrambling around for youth players to really kind of supplement what we had. Especially during the Flinny days, the sort of famed production line, if you like, that we would get these players, we would build them up. They'd turn from boys into men, and we'd sell them on. We don't need to do that now, thankfully, which is really good. But what we do need to do is follow the same path, is nurture these players, bring them through, develop them, and go, wow, he's an asset that's worth money. Max Cleworth is the prime example of it. So it's hard to really know how much is happening with the academy. I'd like to see, and I dare say the club will do a lot more with it. They will throw more of a spotlight on some of these players. It's difficult to get the balance right, because you want to go, yeah, this is blah, 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 blah from Kop, and he's a defensive midfielder, and he's 17. Yeah, great. And we all want to know about players like that. But if he doesn't make the grade, does that put extra pressure on that player? You could see Harry yesterday in his interview felt a little bit uncomfortable because he's 18 years old. He's not used to doing it. He was very like, yeah, it was great. Yeah, I'm happy. The sort of stuff that you'd expect from an 18-year-old. But you look at Max, who probably has got an old head on young shoulders. He's much, much more at ease with talk, and he always has been, really. But if Harry keeps following the same path, probably give it another 18 months, 2 years, and you ask him the same interview, then he'll be much more at ease. It's just about getting that balance right between shining the spotlight on these players and not overburdening them with too much pressure. That's kind of the difficulty of that, balancing that, really. But we would love to see more details on these players that are coming through, because we all want to know. It's great that we're spending £2 million on a player, but I want to know about the person that, it's Thingy's lad from Gursel around the corner. I didn't know it was your son. I'd like to know those links. We'd all like to be able to have that buy-in, because in a weird way, it's like a microscopic version of what our new American friends are seeing when they come to Wrexham. They really got this buy-in, that sort of link and that bond. It'd be nice to have that local bond with some of these kids that, I don't know. There's definitely players there that are in and around Wrexham, but maybe I'm not looking hard enough. Maybe that information is out there, but it's exciting.
It's very difficult for them to break through now. I think you're going to have to be an exceptional talent.
The pathway is there, but it's one with not significant hurdles, but with things to overcome in a challenging way. Because, like you said, we can afford to be a little bit more picky, I guess. It's not a case of, is he good enough? It doesn't matter if he is good enough. We're gonna have to chuck him in because we've got nobody else in there. We can afford the luxury of going, well, he's not quite at it yet. I'm surprised Aaron James went out on loan to Warrington. I think he's better than that level, but the club know better, don't they? So,
but looking at the squad now, I mean, like I said, that the strength is there. It's very impressive all round, and we've seen that last night. Do you get frustrated sometimes with some of the performances? Do you think he's picking the best team? What we think is the best team on paper, the obvious starting 11, is it the best 11? Can he manoeuvre it more?
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, God, if we were delighted with every time he picked a starting 11. It's never going to happen for a start.
Yeah.
You know, you could have 100 of us, 99 of us would love it. One person would go, yeah, I prefer Mark Howard in goal. There's always going to be somebody somewhere, whether they mean it or not. So I think that the question mark in recent weeks has been Elliot Lee playing up front. I mean, it's a square peg in a round hole. We all know it. They've stuck him back in midfield, and all of a sudden he scored 2 in 2 games and playing with a smile on his face. And why wouldn't he? You know, for him, oh yeah, pop me up front, but you've got 4 strikers on the bench who are all looking at me and say, why are you playing in my spot? That's like Elliot Lee being sat on the bench and asking Paul Mullin to sit in a holding midfield position. It just doesn't make any sense. So that experiment is done and dusted. Let's get past it. Will we see Rodriguez and Smith start again? He's alluded to it by chucking him in straight in because he was fuming after that Stevenage defeat. Yeah. You know, that was the shake-up. He maybe got more players than what he's anticipating. But, you know, the squad is the strongest it's ever been. Yeah. Ever. Like, in history, realistically, if people in the 70s will say differently, the sort of 77, 78 team, but in terms of my lifetime and how you put a price on players and the level of talent, you know, there's no surprise that we are where we are.
Yeah, I've actually been saying that for at least a year or two because, I mean, it's taken like 4 years to build this squad, isn't it? Significant, you know, recruitments. Most of them have always worked. And even the players that haven't worked, Bodvarsson, have always, for example, the talent's there. It just somehow hasn't worked for them, you know, for a variety of reasons. But as you said, big moves on Saturday, changing the lineup. That's what we want to see from Parky, don't we? Just react a bit more and just try something new.
Yeah, I think he could get away with it at this point because nobody can accuse him of being like a Ranieri Tinkerman. Oh, he changed it every week because he doesn't. He kind of he trusts in the players that give him everything and that usually give him the right results. And then when it starts to fade a bit or it wobbles or the performance isn't quite there, he'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He'll say, well, you're giving me plenty so far. I'm not just going to bomb you out straight away. But that Stevenage performance was the last straw for him, for a lot of us. And again, I kind of sound like that entitled word, but I don't care losing to a team. We all lose matches. It's how you lose it. And I said at the time, you can probably count on one hand the amount of times that this team has ever let us down in 4 years. It's not many. It's not many at all because they want to play for the club. They're fighting for it. Yes, they're enjoying all the trappings that come with it, but there hasn't been many occasions where you just thought that was disgraceful. But the Stevenage one was. It was a rare, very rare off day by some man. That's being kind. It is being kind, and they give us a reaction. It wasn't a wonderful 7-0 going to spank somebody easily reaction. It was a classic case of Wrexham starting well, tapering off. They get a worldie, and you're thinking, why didn't we put this to bed earlier? And then we pop up with a late winner, like back to the old times of a season and a half ago. So yeah, it's I'm kind of in a weird way, I look at it differently already now. I'm thinking, well, I'm glad they've got that out of their system. You know, if that was to happen again, then you'd be like, why is it happening? What's happened here with the mindset and the attitude and so on? But it was such an out of character performance that you just have to kind of put a full stop and draw a line under it and go, it's one of those things. And we got a little bit of sticks in, why are you doing an emergency podcast on it? It's like, well, just because we're not used to losing at home, we're not used to losing at home in such a meek fashion. Yeah. So we can't just be accused of being happy clappers and focusing on the positives. You have to deal with the crapper stuff which comes our way, which is very, very rare. Has to be said, you know.
Well, yeah, it was a 3-2 didn't tell the whole story, really, did it? It was over very early on. There was never really a way back. You could just see, again, it was a really poor performance. Awful. And it's been a bit of a dodgy run for the last few games until the quality. They hadn't won for 3-4 games. The Birmingham performance, I thought, in the second half towards the end was very good. That was a very respectable draw, and the last 15 minutes well on top.
Yeah, and it's strange, isn't it? You know, you look back and people might have said, well, if we lose to Birmingham, it won't be a massive surprise. And then we'd expect to beat Stevenage. So it was Birmingham that ended up clinging on for a point, and then we lose to Stevenage. But that's football. That's what makes it exciting. That's what has gained us, an army of fans through the documentary and the ownership. But people are going, this is actually that kind of whole Rob McElhenney syndrome. He didn't really understand what the fun in it was until he really scratched the surface of it. And now they're like, oh yeah, this is much more high octane than baseball or American football. It's just end to end, non-stop. And then, so I think it's kind of, the game itself has won a lot of hearts and minds, not just necessarily the club. We've just packaged it really. But yeah, that Stevenage one was, first time I've been very angry in a while with that. There was proper steam coming out my ears, and I got home and I was like, why was I so fed up? And then people bookend their arguments with, well, remember where we came from. Well, we're not saying that we're ever going to forget. I was at Grays Athletic, I was at Dover, I was at Wealdstone, I was at wherever else it was, Hayes and Yedding. That's part of the journey. But the journey we're at now is a very different journey to where we're at. Is it about the journey or the destination? Depends on how you see it. But we can't keep using that as a stick to beat ourselves with. Remember where we come from. We do. We know that, but we're in a very, very different ballpark now to what we were then. And you have to kind of set a bar, which these players have done, and they fell below that bar by some distance on a very rare occasion.
And especially when you talk about the investment that's been made in the squad, the quality of the squad, what's at stake. And like I said, you expect better performances now.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? I don't know where I sit on the fence about this, because yes, we're chucking money at things, but you know what? If Sam Smith didn't score for 5 games, so just because he's cost us a bit of money doesn't necessarily guarantee you goals. The price tag comes with a weight of expectation, but he's already scored 11 goals. He can show he can score goals, and that's why we've got him. We've got a striker with pace, more of a direct nature about him. So yeah, I think that there is an element of pressure, but I think you have to give some of these guys leeway. They are human at the end of the day. You just got to trust in the management, trust in the ownership. Let's be fair, what they've been doing the last 4 years has been nothing short of, I'm not going to say miraculous, but it has been highly impressive, because it was almost set up to fail. People say, oh yeah, well, he's been given the tools to do this, that, and the other. But you have to be careful how you do it. You have to be careful with who you bring in, what you bring them in for. Are they going to be harmonious in the dressing room? Is it going to be one that upsets the rest of them? Blah, blah, blah. So much stuff to balance up, and they've got it so right. And I'm not going to doubt anything that these guys do, even if it's Mo Farrell, if it's Josh Adam, if there's question marks, thinking that hasn't quite worked out. But you only have to look at the players that were left. Every player who's left this club has never gone to a high level. None of them have gone to a high level. I mean, you can argue Dalby on loan to Scottish Premier, is it a higher level? It's almost impossible to ever know, really. It really is. So, but every player who's left has left either on an equivalent league or gone lower. So they know when a player's time at the club is up, and they know when a player's time to join the club is there to take that opportunity. So completely trusting what they're doing still.
Yeah, and as you said, it takes more than money and resources to make this work. It's, you have to know what you're doing. You have to have the experience, the knowledge, the ability to bring all this together. Because like you said, it was set up to fail, and there was a fine line at one stage where it could all go wrong.
But, I mean, it's not Championship Manager, is it? Every man and his dog thinks they're a football manager, and certainly think they're a better football manager than the manager in charge of their football club. Everton fans are the prime example of that. Every Evertonian was a better football manager than Sean Dyche. Well, Sean Dyche has probably won more than you have as a football manager. That's a fact, right? Whether you loved him, loathed him, he did a pretty decent job for considering his hands were tied. And obviously that's changed now, and you got Moyes, the saviour, coming back, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I just think sometimes we need to. You can get caught up in it, can't you? You can get caught up in the madness of the game and how well we're doing on. I mean, God forbid we'd lose 5 or 6 in a row. Can you imagine it? Oh. I look back, there's not many times. I think there was a time last year.
A year ago, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, the Doncaster game and Blackburn in the Cup, and a few others. And you think, Jesus, the wheels are really coming off.
As well, was that one?
Yeah. I mean, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and very rare will you get seasons where it doesn't. Such as the 111-point season, that's just mental. And if any team. Some people say, Chesterfield are going to crush that. Chesterfield were nowhere near crushing that in the end. It just completely fell apart after they won the league. So, you have to kind of be careful what you wish for. And I just want to see us ticking along nicely and see where it takes us. But, it's just weird, isn't it? 1 minute it's Jurassic Parkinson, the next minute it's like in Parky Ball we trust. Pick a side. Yeah. Pick a side and stick to it.
It is non-stop, isn't it? Everything's in real time, isn't it? They react to what happens now.
Of course, yeah.
It's all an overreaction. It's all too emotional. It's all unnecessary at times. I was disappointed. I went to Crawley. I was disappointed with the performance. I thought we got away with it. I felt, I know I took a worldie to score, but I felt they had some opportunities. They perhaps didn't hit the target, but they had too many half chances. And after a great start, we just sat back. I was disappointed, but a great setup down Crawley. First time there for a basic stadium. They got a lovely little setup, I felt.
Yeah.
Plenty of food.
Been a while since I've been down there, to be honest. So I didn't want to. One of those where I wasn't too bothered about going, keeping a bit of money for me, little Spanish break. So. Yeah, but that means not many Southern games left now that we've done most of the travelling. So plenty of Northern fixtures to look forward to.
I must say that game now, it reminds me of, was it Wealdstone a couple of years ago? With the last minute winner.
When the wall
we seemed to kick on from there. And things are a bit dodgy, and we seem to kick on and go on this amazing run. I'm hoping this can be similar. Because it is there for the taking. I feel we're the second best team, and it's frustrating to see us sort of self-destructive. That's the wrong term, but maybe making mistakes.
I mean, everybody's going to have bumps in the road, and we can keep ironing out these late 90th minute winners and so on and so forth. Have they even got the new manager in there yet? Are they still
I was going to say they should be destabilised by that. You'd think there's an opportunity to take advantage of that.
Yeah. Well, yes and no, innit? Because you got to think, well, I don't even know if Bloomfield took his right-hand man with him. No idea. But if you're a good team, you're a good team, and you're going to be taking on the similar instructions that you've had throughout the entirety of the season. So there's going to be a bit of a kick over with that. But that March that we've got with is it Huddersfield, Stockport, Wickham? It's a huge month. It's a huge month. So we need to kind of start kicking into this, and all the league games are away this month, unless things change with a Leyton Orient potential rescheduled match. But it's exciting, isn't it? It's exciting. I'd rather be where we are than 13th. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
if you were 13th, if you were 10th, it's every 10th, you'd take that, wouldn't you? Going back to the sense of entitlement, where we've come from, I know that's the obvious response, but there's so much more to gain. But if we were 10th, you'd be happy.
It's weird because if we were 13th, a lot of us would probably enjoy the season in a weird way because, we've got nothing to lose. We're not going down. If we take points off the ones in the mix, great. We'll piss on their parade, and then we're putting ourselves through the ringer by being in the mix, by going, oh, shit, we're up there. We could do it again. So I think sometimes it's easy to get caught up and feel anxious about, oh no, blah blah blah, scored the last minute, and we're and then you can almost psychoanalyze live results and what's happening in front of you, and you're checking your phone and blah blah blah, and you're just thinking, oh god, this is stressful. Christ, we're third. try and ease off the stress of it and enjoy what's happening. Whether I think it would take something astonishingly bad for us not to make the playoffs bare minimum. So look at that. Look at that. Are we looking at one Wembley trip this year? We're looking at two. We're looking at none. And what a quandary to be in. What an absolute pickle to be in. Oh, there's potentially we've got 2 trips to Wembley, and we could have one and go up automatically, or we could cock them both up. I mean, great. I'm sure Shrewsbury would be happily trade places with us. But yeah, karma comes around in one way or another.
I'm sure you're obviously happy with the strikers, the signings they made, which was always a priority. I was a bit, I wasn't happy that we had to go out and buy a striker. I always felt the quality was there and I needed to see more from what was already at the club. I felt it was already there, but everyone wanted strikers, or a striker at least, and they wanted to go and invest money. They've done that. Smith, he kind of popped up last minute. I didn't see much rumours about him early on.
Yeah, I mean, Parky said he'd been tracking him for a while, and it doesn't massively surprise me because he's still got links at Reading. Probably still keeps tabs on them. He's seen the kind of the mess they're in as well. And whilst we don't want to be that vulture that circles the carcass, because we've been that carcass many, many times in the past. I mean, who knows? Maybe that money will help them in some regard or another, but they've ended up offering an amount that was too good to turn down. Who'd have thought we'd be saying that, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever. So he's a good player, And
I think 4th in the goal scoring charts, isn't he? He's the 4th, joint 4th top goal scorer. You alluded to vultures there. I know we've been described as vultures this last week. It's dog eat dog, isn't it? If you can do it, you do it.
Look, I'm a firm believer that every team has their moment in the sun. How long that moment lasts is entirely down to you and the people that run it, and you kind of have that harmonious relationship which for the most part we have. We're very, very fortunate. Chester won't have their moment in the sun, or they are top of their dog and duck league. I've been a bit tight. It's not a dog and duck league, but So who knows? I just think for all the shite we've had in the past. Even if I wasn't a Wrexham fan, I wasn't from here, I'd be looking at it and going, if you know football and you know when a team's been through the ringer, you go, well, you know what? Yeah, maybe I'd rather it was them than a Barrow or a Bromley or whatever. So,
and I know the Reading manager's very unhappy that he was sold. I think he was told that no players would be leaving, but they've got their own problems, haven't they? With ownership, and like I said, the offer was just too good. Is it 2 million? Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think it's around that marker. Maybe a shade touch over it, but well, I don't think it's a full amount up front. My understanding is it's going to be increments. So here's a lump sum, and then we're going to pay this, and this when so many appearances or whatever, or so many goals. I don't know how it works, but that's what I'm led to believe is the deal. So yeah, we've got a ridiculous amount of strikers now.
Yeah, someone said to me today, we've got to get rid of some. There's too many on the books. It's like
one's got to go. One has to go somewhere, because I think I was reading before he's got his 22 match squad or 23, but one of them's going to have to go somewhere.
I know there was some very sort of, I don't know how much true was rumours about Palmer and Mullin. I don't know, that was probably clickbait or just, as you know, people just stirring up shit. But you have to think, are their days coming to an end? I mean, a £2 million striker, this has to work, because now you're starting to take risks financially.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember interviewing Palmer when he first arrived, and he said, I'll quite happily retire at the club if they want to keep me that long. There's rumours that Gillingham were after him, but they just couldn't make that deal right to tempt him back down there, which is a shame, because his roots are down there, he lives down there. He's never really wanted to move up here permanently. And I kind of thought it would have worked for him, because I think he likes to be the focal point. So why not go and enjoy that? But then by the same token, he likes the kind of feeling of being a celebrity. I think he likes that in a weird way. I think he likes it, and he ain't going to get that at Gillingham. With the greatest respect in the world, he's not going to get it. You know, Luke Young wasn't for the celebrity. Ben Tozer wasn't for the celebrity. So that's why they were like, happy to move on. See you later. I've had a good innings here. Take care. Goodbye. I think Palmer's been given an extended deal. He's got a year to run. How much football he plays in that year is probably lessened significantly with these arrivals. That's a fact. It is a fact. We've upgraded with Rodriguez. You know, in that sense.
That's a nice sign, isn't it? That came from nowhere as well, I think, for me anyway. Yeah. And that's a nice one to get that experience in the Premier League quality. You know.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy, and
that's a nice bonus.
Yeah, weird. Like, it comes from Burnley with a lot of love. You know, a lot of Burnley fans saying, "Oh, I'll definitely be keeping a watch out because obviously a local lad done good." And I just wish these players would stop using the word project.
Yeah,
I'll get over it. But
it's like, it's excited about the project. Yeah,
you're not bloody. You know, you're not project managing a company from the ground up. Stop calling it a project. Call it a challenge. Call it. I don't know. I'm intrigued by the sort of thing they're putting together. Don't call it a project. You're not at school, are you? Not at university. Stop calling it a project.
Come on, be honest. Listen, I'm interested in the money, the fame, the celebrity. I want a piece of this. They're doing well. I want the full package. I'm gonna take this chance.
This is why I love McLean and I love players of his ilk, because they don't care for media training. And even if they did have media training, they go, "Thanks for that. Basically, you're telling me what I should and shouldn't say."
Well, he stands by his principles and he stands by his beliefs big time.
Yeah, it's not even that. It doesn't matter about beliefs. It's just about being yourself. Be yourself. Be yourself. Stop worrying about. I mean, if you said something out of character, especially, you're not going to be saying anything daft in a press conference because you're always going to be measured, because the questions will be like, "Did you enjoy that goal? Wasn't that a shit performance?" Blah blah blah. Let Parky do the kind of like the more extravagant reactions to things. But sometimes I just want a player to go, you know what? Like Elliot Lee, I'd love him to say, yeah, they scored an absolute cracker, but you know, I've knocked in a second one. I'm happy back being in midfield again. Happy days. And yeah, it wasn't the best performance, but we'll take it. Just give us a bit more honesty and stop reading from the sort of media crib sheets that everybody's sat down and told to speak from. Like, less is more. Sometimes it isn't. Just tell us more. Be a character. Be a Cantona. Throw us some sardines. You know, whatever.
I wouldn't go quite that far, not as far as he did at times, but although I think McLean's close on a few occasions, to be fair.
He won't be kung fu kicking, he'll be boxing, won't he?
Well, somebody's going to be throwing something anyway. Going back to Lee and Palmer, I mean, Parky likes Palmer, doesn't he? He's done his best to give him a chance and to get the best out of him. He appreciates what he brings to the starting lineup. And I think he tried to mould Lee similar to Mullin. He likes that combination. Do you agree to force it too much to create a new Mullin or a new partnership?
Yeah, Parky was a fan of Little and Large, wasn't he? As a comedy double act, and now he's tried to sort of mould that as his front two, but not in a funny way. But yeah, I mean, the Mullin thing was just bullshit. That entire somebody just made something up. And I love the fact he just posted saying, "Oh, I've just signed for the sofa. Here I am on the couch, and the lad's gone to bed." Love that. He's not going anywhere. He's a legend here. You know, where else is he going to go? Where he's going to be treated like royalty? And yeah, he's not had a great season, but then he's had a second season in a row where he's not had a pre-season, and you're expecting to just dive into these games and make it happen. He's not spring chicken anymore either. So, you know, he's still like ridiculously high up in the all-time goal scoring charts. You've always got to give him
what he did.
He's been so much better in recent games as well. You know, I think he's looked more lively, looked more himself. And in a weird way, I think, you know, even bringing players in, especially players who aren't young and hungry to challenge for the shirt, but players who've been there and done it and said, right, you know, I'm here for your shirt now, pal, and I've got a legitimate case for you to believe I'm going to have your shirt. So I think, again, it's going to buck everybody up and go, I mean, what a great position to be in, where you got Mullin go, fucking hell, I'm not having that. I'll smash the training pitch until that Northampton game. And if I'm not starting, I'll be on the bench. When I come on, it's going to come good. He's going to hit somebody for 3 or 4 at some point. Sure of it.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see, like, to get a pre-season and give him. Don't judge him too yet. I think he's struggling. I'm not sure he recapture the same form he had, but let's see what he can do next year, perhaps.
Oh, 100%. But I think you've got to consider that, you know, his role in the team might change. He may end up becoming like rather than the Gary Bennett of the world, he'll become a Steve Watkin. He'll be the provider. He'll be the one with the assist. He'll be the one that holds up. He's an intelligent footballer. He knows how to operate against wily defenses or otherwise. So he's not daft. He doesn't become a bad footballer over the course of 5 barren-ish months. Just doesn't work. But because our expectations are so high, there's certain areas of the fan base where you kind of go, yeah, Mullins done, Mullins washed. Just because we can afford to go out and other players doesn't necessarily mean a player is done, nor should you hope that he's done. Be careful what you wish for. This is a guy on 95 league goals. He deserves nothing but our respect and admiration. And I'll die on that hill. He could miss a sitter in a Wembley playoff final, and he's still a legend.
Yeah, you have to be the best player of the last 30 years.
It's got to be up there. Has to be up there, but not just because of what he's done or what he's given. But again, what I just said then about just being yourself. He's not media driven. He'll tell you how it is. I think he could have been a little bit more natural in his book, his audio book. But it's quite a difficult thing to do, reading off a script, and trying to make it natural. So just a great bloke. And I always cite Gareth Bale as a prime example. Gareth Bale, you stick a camera in front of him when he was playing, because he felt hounded by the media in the end, especially the Spanish media. He would just give it his media interviews abroad were so different to his media interviews with Wales because he felt comfortable in that environment. And there was a couple of occasions where they did a documentary on him, BBC Wales, golfing everywhere. He's such a laugh. Like when he's himself. Just a laugh, and he's dead funny. So it's a proper funny bloke. So he just wants some of these players just show your true colours. Don't show your football side. We're interested in you as human beings. I love the fact you can play football, but I want to know that. Oh yeah, I'm happy I scored. I'm going to go and watch Squid Game 2 now. Cheers. See you later. Nice
yeah, you're closer to them, doesn't it? You got a closer relationship, if you like.
Yeah, and I think the club is still trying to do that. They're still trying to get a little. They used to always do little fact files years ago. Favorite food, favorite place to eat, favorite car, first movie you watch. Like we did it.
Like Match years ago from old play, Match show, whatever it was, shoot, whatever. They'd have like an interview and the favorite film, favorite holiday, favorite book and stuff like that. Well, comics.
Yeah, you just want to know about a player. That's what we did when we spoke to Max in last summer. Just asked him stuff similar like that. I just want to know about what makes this lad tick, because he comes in, plays like a beast, buggers off. You never see him. He's never on Instagram. He's never posting things to get free products. We don't know what his hobbies are. We don't know if he's got a girlfriend. We don't know what car he drives. He's just an intensely private person, and that's when I'm completely going what I've just said, but you got to appreciate that privacy. He doesn't court the publicity, but if you ask him a question, he's happy to answer it.
In this modern world, it is difficult to sort of keep your privacy, and some people just don't want to be too open. They don't want to give too much away, and some just enjoy using social media and revealing more about themselves and sort of being more down to earth and normal, if you like.
Yeah.
But the baggage with it can be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny one, isn't it? And then we went at Port Vale last night in a trophy that nobody's really given too much of a shit about until now. And every player on the social media, on their Instagram and stuff, has posted. Like, great win. And Mo Fowle's posting stuff. They're all posting about Harry. And when you lose, there's nothing. And depending on your perception, people go, oh, well, they're quick to bloody celebrate stuff. But when we lose, they don't say anything. But then sometimes you have to look at it in a different way and go, well, why would they say anything when they lost? Maybe they're just like retreating back into a hole and going, we're playing shit, sometimes you don't want to make matters worse.
Exactly.
By pointing out what we as fans will already know. Like, you know, somebody comes on and says we were shit. Yeah, we know that. We've not learned anything from that. So sometimes silence it says a lot more. I think sometimes it's easier to go, they're saying nothing, they're hiding. But I think you have to think they're saying nothing because they're equally as frustrated and as embarrassed as we were, especially the Stevenage match. So you kind of got to look at it with a different hat on, I think.
Okay, yeah, I think, but we're absolutely flying, and it's all if we can just stay calm, keep level-headed, no overreactions. It's been a fantastic season. I just want to go and talk about a few other things before we go. The new Kop Design was revealed this week. A new application has been submitted or resubmitted. Mixed reaction. I wasn't too keen at first. I keep looking at it. I can't help thinking the first one was more polished, wasn't it? It was more conventional.
I think it knocks spots off the first one.
Yeah, I've seen your thoughts. Yeah,
because I mean, they could have put out a new Kop Design as a Lego brick build stadium. They were, well, that's amazing. Because when you look at what it's going to replace, anything would have been an upgrade because it was left to kind of rack and ruin. Poor old girl sat there empty for 12 years, wherever it was. Just a mess. You know, there's more moss and animals and newts and stuff on that bloody Kop than there's been people in the last 12 years. So when the initial design came out, I was like, oh yeah, I can see what they're doing, and oh yeah, it's like a burning coal ember, blah blah blah. But then I'm like, well, they're not the club's primary colours. You know, is it like MK Dons Stadium? It's all black and it's shiny, but what does that say about them, really? So I think it's always right to honour the aggressive disaster. I don't think it perhaps takes the full thing. But if you go, right, we're going to pay tribute by making this entire thing a tribute to it. I think it has to be proportionate. And I'm not saying at all that I'm not undermining the scale of it. It was a horrible, horrible thing. But I think having that miners wheel is probably more of an apt tribute than anything else, because people can come and go as they please, pay their respects, sit in thought, have a quiet moment to themselves at 2 a.m, having a chat with one of the lost ones from that time. You know, they can do that. You can't quite do that when you're sat in a football ground surrounded by people. You know, not going to have an open house policy where you can just pop in at 3 o'clock in the morning and sit there. So in regards to the design, you know, I went to the press conference and when they showed us, I was like, oh, it's a funny looking thing, isn't it? I was like, it reminds me of one of the party hats you pull out of a Christmas cracker and you stick out your head at a funny angle. I was like, and then I was like, I want to know why. But then if you look at the design access statement that's on the Wrexham Council website, you can view. I've viewed every item, every document on there. It's in depth. They've done their homework. Populous, the architects, they've done their homework. The owners have said this is important to get it right, and whether it's the rab and red brick stuff and the translucent aspect, the fact it looks like it just looks like a really, almost like a very posh Roman candle aligned with a castle. I mean, everybody's going to look at it and think differently, but I guarantee you, right, when that thing goes up, I reckon 99% of people will like it. They'll love it. They'll love it because it screams, oh, that's Wrexham stand. You know, in like a pub quiz in 30, 40, 50 years time, where some old boy sitting in Tunbridge Wells, they go, right, it's the football grounds round, and they'll show you 10 pictures of football grounds. They'll go, well, that's Wrexham. Everybody knows that crazy thing is Wrexham.
It's unique, isn't it? The design's very original. And they've done their work, haven't they? You said they've made a real effort to recognise the community, recognise a lot of the history. I know someone in the leaders there called it a collapsing sandcastle. But no, it's certainly original, and they've done their homework. And I think the fact it can be extended, they've allowed that option to extend it an extra 2,000. I think that's important. How big do you think the race course could be extended to?
I mean, I think they're going to get that accepted anyway, that kind of amendment, Section 75 amendment to it. So I think they're expecting that to sail through, because why else would you include it? You know, so essentially it's going to be a 2-tiered stand, one very large tier, one not so large. So is it arguably is it Kop? Who cares? It's getting another 7,500 people on top of the 13 we've got. So you're taking whatever that is, you know, my massive shit, so it's 19 and a bit or whatever. Then they look at retrofitting the other stuff, namely Wrexham, Largostan would probably be next. And I think it all comes back down to context. And I did a piece of the newsletter, the Wrexham There's Game thing that me and Andy do, which is out today, which is free, by the way, this week. So go and check it out. Wrexham is the Game.
Check it out, guys. Yeah.
Shameless plug. There's a big piece in there about my thoughts on this. And like I said in that, it's not really for me to judge whether people should like it or whether they shouldn't. It's down to personal choice and personal preference. Initially, I was like, wow, it's striking. Then I looked at it more and more and more and more. And I was like, I love it. I love it because it's strong. It's imposing. It's red. You can take whatever you want from it. You can call it teeth. You can call it the back of a dragon. Call it sandcastle. Call it party out. Whatever you want it to be. Ultimately, it's ours and it's unique to us. You don't want to be an identikit stadium, so we're gonna have something unique, right? Completely unique. And when it goes up, people go, "Oh, this is something else. This is something. It's going to be off the chart when it starts going up." But the bigger context for me, and I apply it all the time in this regard, is, you know what? The owners could have probably saved a lot more money in the long run by just going, "We'll build a stadium somewhere else, brand new, purpose built, boring as shite." We'll stick 32,000 in it. Do what Darlington did years ago, build a massive ground that they never filled. It's just gone to rack and ruin, and now it's owned by a rugby league club that's never filled. You can't. Basically, they're saying, right, they're aligned with the whole community values. We're going to keep it where it is. Why wouldn't we? It's right next to a train station. It's right off the motorway, right off the dual carriageway. The transport links are great. What we'll need working on is park and rides. That'll be the council's job, to identify land, buy land, open up to more park and rides. We're going to need that space. You're going to increase the capacity. You're going to need that space. You don't want people walking from 2 miles away with a 70-year-old granddad and he falls over. Like, why isn't that? Why is there no capability there for transport to the ground? You know, so that's something that needs looking at. But like Michael Williamson said at our live event, that, you know, maybe kind of like between 28 and 32 is the kind of like your top end, really. And I think if we were to have a stadium now with 32,000 seats, I'd probably say we'd sell, I don't know, maybe 22, 23. You can't afford to be too greedy too soon. Just can't. You've still got to keep building. As much as this has been a great ride, you know, Wrexham is still by and large yes, a city, but it's not a big city. So you've got to entice people from further afield, and that's what we've got to do.
I think 30 years. I think the limit that'd be ideal, and then you can use it for other things as well. It's taken a long time, though. We need to get it up. It's been frustrating to see. I know it's part of the wider regeneration, isn't it, of that area? Is that still the case? We're going to be working hand in hand to redevelop the whole area around it as well.
Yeah, that whole gateway project. I mean, you know, I think Crispin Lane will essentially disappear. You're not going to go Crispin Lane onto Mold Road. That will be taken over by this 100k plaza, which has been loosely called. I'd like to think it might get a rename. It's not exactly the catchiest, but it's a great touch for all those that put their hand in the pocket to pay that bond to the league to stop us from going out of existence. So all of that is going to be like a multi-use space. You know, I think when there's no match days on, they're going to do pop-up markets on that plaza. When the ground isn't in use for match days, they're going to utilize that Kop and other areas of the footprint for everything from conferencing to banquets to maybe concerts. We've mentioned, you know, that it's going to be ready for that level of stuff in terms of the acoustics and the sound in there. It is going to be unbelievable, and the doors it will open, not just for Wrexham Football Club, but for North Wales, is massive. You know, people going from Anglesey, Carnarvon, I want to go and watch whoever, but they're playing in Manchester or Liverpool. That's a 4-hour round trip for them, or an overnight stop in a hotel. And if we can start attracting some of these bands to the racecourse, well, it's an hour and an hour back. Or we can stop over in Wrexham. So the boost to the local economy is going to be massive. But then we need more hospitality stuff as well. And there's going to need to be more hotels or something, or Airbnbs hit left, right, and centre. Something's got to happen. But you know, one step at a time. We've made so many big strides in a short space of time, and we will plateau for a bit at some point before we can then go, right, we're ready to make the next step then.
Because there's always the danger that demand might reduce and it becomes sort of desolate or not used, and you know, there's a decline there in some way. But I've always felt we needed a stadium up here, an arena, shall I say. We're missing an arena this end, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we are. And it's been a long time coming, isn't it? You know, once every blue moon for a gig, once every blue moon for the Wales internationals, senior men's, usually lip service kind of friendlies, nothing beyond that. So we need to look at it from a different factor. And I did think about this the other day, that if it all went wrong, or let's just say that the owners pulled the plug tomorrow, how many sort of diehard fans have we established in this 4-year period? New diehards, if you like that, who will go rain or shine, Thursday night football, Sunday night football, whatever it may be. And it's a difficult one. But I feel almost certain that it would double our initial core sort of 4,000. Yeah, that was steady for like 15, 20 years. So I reckon we probably got a good 8K diehards, loosely, give or take. You know, I think we're in that figure. So you can't afford to kind of march too far ahead on the attendance stuff. But if we can keep building, there's no reason why we can't do what Brentford, Brighton, and Bournemouth are triple Bs of the Premier League. There's no reason why we can't follow suit. We're getting bigger crowds than Bournemouth anyway. You know, they can't expand upon the ground as far as I'm aware. Fulham have done it. Mike Williamson's been down to Fulham to see how they've done it, how they've still allowed access to the stadium whilst building, which is precisely what they are planning to do, I think.
And I've seen today the National League are launching a campaign for 3 promotion spots. Yeah, if there was 3 promotion spots available years ago, we would have been promoted a long time ago. Do you think that would have changed everything? If we'd been promoted before the owners came on board, would we have been taken over by them? Would we have different owners? The appeal wouldn't have been there. The opportunity wouldn't have been there.
It's a sliding doors moment, isn't it? It's like, you know, it's a completely different moment in time, and you think, right, if we're not there, who are they looking at then? Do they go, right, we want to take somebody from, we could have Wrexham, they're kind of like 12th in League 2. Yeah, but maybe we want to go somewhere lower. So you just never know. I mean, it could have happened. There's no suggesting that it couldn't have happened from a League 2 standpoint, but you know, it makes less for the documentary to take a team that's already in the league rather than one that's supposedly in what they call non-league and then through the league. So it'd be very interesting. But that 3 up, 3 down thing has been such a bone of contention for so long, especially from our point of view. You know, the season we had 98 points and didn't go up will forever be well, that's not forever now. It's obviously softened massively with what's gone on, but at the time, I genuinely thought, like when Newport beat us at that final, I was like, we're just never going to get out of this league. That team that we had was take away the team we've had in the last couple of years. That team we had then under Mozza was tremendous. It was tremendous. How that team never went up is only Brett Ormerod will know. For missing that sitter. Boo.
But it could have changed, like I said, it would have changed the course of history, I think. And
yeah.
although it was frustrating for so long and people really getting and not, and really, really frustrated, it's turned out so remarkably special, isn't it?
Oh, it's great. It's the best ride ever. And like that's another thing. I think I said, well, you look at the new stand, it's a bit like a roller coaster. It's ups and downs and ups and downs, and that sums up Wrexham to a T, doesn't it?
And before you go, what's your feeling? We spoke
I said
a couple of months ago.
I said at the start, if it's going to be anybody that does 3 in a row, it's going to be us. Yeah, and that's not. Maybe it is half glass full, but I just genuinely think that there's something about that team that, like, when the chips are down or when they have a bit of deserved criticism, they'll come back and bite you and go, right, not having that. We know we were shite that day, so we'll prove to you that we're better, which is what they've done to a certain element. You know, with a Crawley win. Certainly last night, Port Vale was a great win, and I just can't see any reason why it would. I think it would take something especially unlucky for us not to do it. Like if it was a playoff final, we're due to win one. We're due to win one. Is it going to be us and Stockport? Almost certainly it'd be us and Stockport, wouldn't it? In the final.
Creeping up, aren't they?
Yeah.
Stockport close for comfort now.
Of course they are. Of course they are. But they lost their start. They've lost their jewel in the crown, and we've brought one in, and we still got one of our older jewels in the crown. So, you know what? It's great to have that conversation to see that we're in it. You know that we're in it by some margin. So, I fancy us to do it. I really do fancy us to do it, and then it's a big, completely different scenario, completely different to what we've ever been used to.
Yeah. And it's just a case of, right, we take how it goes, to just enjoy every second and just don't complain. Just whatever happens, it's like you said, a different scenario. You've reached a much higher level. And
well, I mean, Parky's been there. Parky's got teams out of this division in the Championship, and I think he'll want to show that he is still should be considered a Championship level manager. You know, he'll want to prove that. That will involve a lot of recruitment and infrastructure building again, because there will be some Tonkins. There will be some Tonkins. It's going to happen. I can't see how it wouldn't happen. But to be in that division, to be back where the highest that we've ever been in our history, in such a short turnaround from where we've been in the last 4 or 5 years, is nothing short of astonishing. I don't care what people say that it's not a fairy tale story because you've got the money for this, your money for that. You've still got to go out there and do it. You still got to go out there and achieve it.
Fairy tale story, I think. I mean, of course it is. Yeah.
I mean, every mug who says that, it's not a fairy tale. Yeah, but if it was happening at your club, you'd say it was. And don't lie, because you know you would. You just hate the fact that it's us.
Well, you think, 5 years ago, nearly relegated for the National League. The risk was there. That's
it was horrible.
Fairy tale in the truest sense, I think.
Yeah, it was horrible. I mean, I'm glad. The only I'm not going to say it was the only good thing about COVID. That was a horrible thing to say, but that COVID hit season saved the club from going down. Really, I was convinced that was going to happen, and trying to get Dean Keats to the next live night, and we'll probably say, "What do you think? If we'd have carried on with that season, do you think we would have gone down?" He'll almost certainly say, "Nah, we wouldn't." But some of the players,
spoke to Spencer, and he said, "No, we would have kept them up."
Look, I think sometimes you have to go where you got instinct. You've got to let the gut instinct take over for the most part. And my guts told me that season, I was like, I just don't see any chinks of light in this team. There's nothing that says, come on, lads, let's drag this team through. There's just nothing there. There was nothing there. It was just hopeless optimism, which gets us by, doesn't it? And now we've got hopeless optimism. And
ambition.
Unbelievable amounts of ambition and expectation.
Belief.
It's the best. It's the best melting pot we've ever had. Honestly,
and I think if we don't go up this year, I'd like to think we can put the foundations there to have another go.
Yeah, I can't see any reason why we wouldn't. The foundations are already largely in place. There wouldn't be wholesale changes in the summer, I don't think. But yeah, let's wait and see. Look, what's the worst case that's going to happen if we don't go up? All right, we'll be going to Charlton again. We'll be going to wherever. Just loads of good trips, and that's what it's all about. Saturday with your mates in places you haven't been to for ages, with allocations that are great. You know, that's what you want. And if Walsall come up, great. It's not far to go. If Pompey come down, great. We haven't played Pompey in forever. If Cardiff come down, exceptional. If we swap places with Cardiff, even better. If Cardiff stay up and we go up, great. Who cares? You know, it's just great to be talked about in that conversation that, oh, you know, the poor relations of Welsh football are back, and we're coming for our to reclaim our crown as number one team in Wales.
And to be above some of those clubs you've mentioned, established or former Premier League teams in recent memory, to be above the Boltons and the Charltons, that, like I said, how can you be unhappy with that? What's there to complain about?
No, the fact that there's been so much fume from Birmingham fans tells you all you need to know. You know, if we were 12th, 13th, they wouldn't give two shites about us because we're kind of hanging in around their cup. Let's see if they win their games in hand, because if they don't and we're still nipping away, you can bet your ass they'll be twitchy.
Tim, thank you very much for this. I really do appreciate it, and we'll do it again sometime. All the best, mate. Take care.
Take it easy, mate. All the best.